Hey, and welcome back. Welcome to the Academy of Witchwood. I'm Guilford. I'm down here in my alchemy laboratory, I would say, and it seems like the laboratory is getting too small. You decided on what my major will be, and you decided for me to become an alchemist. So, potions will be very important in the near future. So let me start with that. Let me start with getting my major. We're going into the quests, we're choosing our major, and it will be the Pledge of Alchemists. From the earliest experiments, alchemy has always promised longevity through potions. Few arts better exemplify magic as nourishment. So I will choose to focus on extended potion duration and greater effects from brews. I will get my job. I will get 8 skill points for the alchemy skill tree, and I will get 3 potions of luck. Well, that's neat. So let's go with that. Let's collect my rewards. And with that, you can see suddenly my mana increased, because from this moment on, the magic cloth armor really takes off and gives a bunch of bony effects. So let's take all these skill points into the skill tree. Let's start with that. I do have 8 points remaining. And what I take? Mana discount, definitely. The thrown potion distance. I think I'm taking the 1 luck. Potion duration, experience, and luck, and let me actually take the overheal of here. I definitely want to go down here for the 25 potion duration, and collecting all the luck on the way. Luck in this pack is really useful because it actually increases how much loot you get from the different chests. So, with this, I do have my major. And I already planned a little bit what I'm going to do with this major. And the goal of today will be to get a Wixie familiar, which will be a small little witch flying alongside me and throwing evil potions at my enemies. So for that, we need to do quite a bit. We need to set up source, and I think I'm going fitting to the theme with the alchemical source link. I'll get to that in a second. We need to set up the enchanting apparatus from Ars Nouveau. And we need to do some rituals, especially the ritual of binding, as soon as we have a Wixie charm. So let's start right with that, and we'll take a look how this works out. Getting source being pretty much, I would say, liquefied magic power. You can choose one of many source links. So we have the agronomic source link, which generates source based on plants growing in the vicinity. The volcanic source link generates source based on lava you feed it. The alchemical one goes for potions. The vitalic one, I think it goes for growing animals and stuff. Mycelial is, I think, food related. And the fluid source link is based on liquefied source, which we don't have currently, but we might get into that later on. So, from that one, the alchemical source link itself is relatively cheap, as are every one of the others. They're really not that expensive. So we just need a few pieces of gold. Let me actually go for I think one will be enough for the moment. Some source gems, and I do need a brewing stand. With this, I can put together an alchemical source link. So the alchemical source link, if we take a look in our tattered tome, generates source by consuming potions from adjacent potion jars. So next thing we need is a potion jar we can put a potion in. And a potion jar is created with a source jar and abjuration essence. Abjuration essence is created like all the other essences. I did that in between episodes with a milk bucket, sugar and a fermented spider eye. It just takes a moment with our setup atop. But source jars are really cheap. We need glass and archwood slabs, which we should have on hand. Let me take a look. We do have at least some, and we do have a few logs. That should be enough. Let's make a few more of those. We will need them with this. We have our source jars and a source link. Let's make one of those a potion jar. And let's actually take all the meshes that we created, make those into potions, and feed it into our alchemical source link, shall we? And as you can see, it has gotten winter. It's a little freezing out here. Not that it worries me too much. But let's set up our potion jar here, our source link, and our source jars. I actually have no idea how much source this will generate from a few potions. So let's find out. I also don't know if you can even put these brews into the potion jar, but I hope we can. So let's see. That doesn't look good. I don't want to drink this. I will be hungry forever. How do we get this into here? Okay, so the potion of luck worked, all the brews didn't. That means, oh well, I created them without any reason. I need real potions instead of brews. Alright, if our brews don't work, let's go for some actual potions. We do have the mixing cauldrons from Hexerai here, and those can be used with a heating source like a lava cauldron below to mix up some potions. I have 2 buckets of water in here. I just need 2 nether warts, and you can see things are brewing together, and this will combine into an awkward potion, which I now have. Great. Let's do the same over here. And let's see what else we can do with that. How about we go for some poisonous potions? I think Spider Eye will create potion of poison, and we can go with redstone to extend the duration. How about that? So let's take this, and this, and let's go down here. So first off, let's make it poison. Potion of poison, very good. Next up, extend the duration. And with normal potions of poison, I can go into here nicely. Okay. So, a potion jar can hold up to 100 flasks of potion. And you can see each of the potions we created fills up the source jar by 2 to 3%, as it seems. So, not a whole lot, but at least something. And it's not too expensive to make potions. We need to automate this earlier than later. Now, with this source that we have this, we can power an arcane apparatus. Also not too expensive, some gold, some source stone and a diamond. And we also need an arcane core and some pedestals. So more source gems, source stone and gold. Not too critical. Let me get this together. And there we have an apparatus, an arcane core and a few pedestals. Now, what can we do with those? First of all, get rid of the snow. Then place down the arcane core. Place the enchantment apparatus on top. And then we need to place a few arcane pedestals around it. At most we need, I have no idea, a few more. The minimum is like 3 elements for a few things. For a lot of things we need 8. So let me place 8 around. We will not need them for the moment, but we might need them later. This is pretty much the Ars Nouveau crafting method. You need to get a few things to get here, but with this, there's not a lot we can't do with an Ars Nouveau. And I would like to start with a Wixie charm. For a Wixie charm, we need the enchanting apparatus with 4 pedestals, with a brewing stand, a sapling, an emerald, and a crafting table. And in the middle, in the enchanting apparatus itself, we need a Wixie token. Normally, you get a Wixie token by dispelling a witch while it is less than half health. In our case, we did find some Wixie tokens, if I find them. Here we are. We found some already lying in some chests. So that makes it easy. So let's take this. We need a crafting table. Let me put this together. We do need some cobble and a blaze rod. And the last thing we needed was a sapling and an emerald. Can't count, I see. I'm pretty sure we had emeralds. I'm blind. There we are. And 1 sapling, please. Let's take one of the oak saplings. So, where you place the things is not important as long as the Wixie charm goes in the middle. So, even though it shows the elements on all 4 sides, that doesn't matter at all. You also don't need to place them directly around. I think up to 3 blocks away is just fine. So, we currently have 45% in our source jar. As soon as I place this Wixie charm in, I think we will use some of the source to complete this craft. We actually don't. Okay. I didn't even need the source. Okay. Now, the next thing is, we have the Wixie charm. We want to get the bound script Wixie to use as our familiar. That means we need the ritual of binding. And the ritual of binding, for that we need the tablet of binding and a ritual tablet, a ritual pedestal. For this tablet, we need some waxing archwood. We have that. An ender pearl and source gems. We also have this, and blank parchment. Blank parchment is just paper around surrounded by mage bloom fibers, and mage bloom fibers you get from mage bloom. Normally you need to create a mage bloom seed by using the enchanting apparatus, but again, we already found some when we discovered the Ars Nouveau dungeon. So let me take this and some bone meal. I think I can just plant this right here. And it's okay. It is taking bone meal, and here we are. Oh well, the fertile seasons are spring and summer, so don't expect them to grow in winter very rapidly, even if you spend bone meal without end. And you have a very low chance of actually getting more mage bloom seeds than you planted. I actually do have quite a bit of luck here. So it is possible to get more of these seeds without crafting them, but not entirely guaranteed. So with the mage bloom that we have, we get some mage bloom fibers. With mage bloom fibers and paper, we can get ourselves a blank parchment. This is, by the way, also used to create allow and deny lists, as well as warp scrolls. If you're playing on multiplayer, you can record your glyphs to give them somebody else. You can create direction scrolls, fluid scrolls, deny and accept, things like these. And also a few of the higher elements with the enchantment apparatus and so on. And with everything together, we get ourselves a tablet of binding. Now we need a ritual pedestal. Do I have one of those? Doesn't seem like it. A ritual brazier needs a source gem block, gold ingots, and an arcane pedestal. And there we go. And now we just need to call our Wixie and then bind it to us as a familiar. And to summon a Wixie, we just need a cauldron, which will be the Wixie's home. Place it down, use the charm on the cauldron, and you will see in just a moment it will transform into a Wixie cauldron, summoning a Wixie. And this little thing I want to have as my familiar. Hey, look at me. Isn't it cute? Isn't that a cutie? So let's place down our ritual brazier, put in the tablet of binding, activate it, and our Wixie will drop a bounce crypt Wixie, which we then can use to unlock a familiar. And with this we can just break what we have, put the cauldron back. We will use a lot more Wixies later on, but in this moment I can open my spellbook, go into familiars, select the Wixie, and here we are, a Wixie familiar. And this one will just follow me around. If it gets to the door, this is relevant. It will follow me around. It will throw potions at my enemies. And also, if I give it something that is the base ingredient for a potion, it will use that potion on my own person. Let's take some sugar. Use that sugar on the Wixie, and Wixie applied Potion of Swiftness, and now I have speed for nearly 8 minutes. Which is really cool for just carrying around a little bit of sugar. So this little one can buff me and it will also help me fighting all the baddies. Which can be really useful when it uses things like Potion of Weakness or Potion of Slowness or anything else to reduce what my enemies can do. With this, we have our familiar. I think that's really neat. I would like to do one more thing. I would like to get myself an Enchanter's Gauntlet. An Enchanter's Gauntlet is a really useful mining spell apparatus. So, let me just put it together and I'll explain on the way. We need source gems, blocks of gold, a diamond and a leather. And just like that, we can craft ourselves up an enchanted gauntlet. This gauntlet, which looks really nice by the way, has something like the Infinity Gauntlet. This gauntlet can be inscribed with a spell. Can be inscribed with a spell at the scribes table, and it works really easy. You can just place it on the scribes table, and then you need to have a spell in your spellbook. For example, I could go with touch and where is it? Break and amplify. I don't need the touch for the gauntlet because the gauntlet itself will always be touch. So if I just do this, shift right click with my spellbook, I now set the spell on this Enchanter's Gauntlet, and you can see even though I took the touch away from my spell, it is now touch, break, amplify, which will just let me, well, break pretty much everything that is available. Now, if I wanted to go a little bit further, I could instead use touch, amplify, AoE, AoE, which lets me break things in a bigger radius. So let me take this and let me quickly show you. I just jump down here in my mine, and if I hit the wall with this spell, you can see I'm breaking things in a 3x3. And the gauntlet has a very nice boni, because spells cast with the gauntlet are cast with the discount. So it's a little bit cheaper than, well, other way. Also, this gauntlet is just a mining tool with diamond hardness, so I can just use it as such. If I want to build later on, I will need more materials than I currently have. So let's actually create a mining spell that mines a little bit more, let's say extensively. Let's get rid of this. There's two ways to really make use of AoE. You can either use AoE on the effect itself, like break, but you can also use something like propagate plane. It says resolves the remainder of the spells into a wider plane starting from the block hit and extending based on amplified AoE and pierce. So I'm going with this. I'm going to add a bunch of AoE. I'm also adding a bunch of pierce. And then I'm just going with break. And you could go for extract if you wanted to silk touch everything. You could go for amplify if you wanted to break obsidian with that. Or in my case, I'm going with item pickup, so everything just lands in my inventory. And now I can set the spell on this gauntlet, and let's see what this does. This is the same area we were just in, and now if I use my spell here on this wall, you can see it breaks a little bit more. In this case, in a 6x6 with a little bit of depth. And you can see, based on my mana in the top left, I can do this for a whole while. And the more mana I get, and the more I use this, the faster I can go with this spell and just delete whole chunks of the world. So in case I'm showing in the future like very big excavated elements, it's probably, yeah, just a little bit of mining effort. And in regards of my mana missing, I can always go ahead and create a jar of voiding. A jar of voiding will delete certain items that I can specify, for example cobblestone, and yeah, convert it into mana. So with this, I probably have a lot of reserves I can go with. So with the mining spell in hand, or an enchanted gauntlet in hand to be precise, and a little Wixie to follow me and help me out, I think I'm ready to start my journey as an alchemist, or as a mage with an alchemist major. I will focus a lot on potions this run. I will also focus a lot on poison. I think this is a very nice theme, and I think I'm going to remodel everything that I use to be either poison or earth based. A little bit more botany, a little bit more poison, a little bit more arcane maybe. And yeah, I think this Wixie will not be the last pet that I can see in my surroundings. So if you hoped for a summoning build, oh, I will have a few summons. Don't you worry. With this, I'm signing off for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.